Hello folks, I hope that you're having just a great and safe day today in our COVID world. Today take a look at the final chapter of the trilogy of Foundation called Second Foundation by Isaac Asimov. Isaac Asimov has written this story, a series of novels which was hugely influential on modern science fiction in a lot of different ways. In the 50s, this is the final one that he wrote, I believe, in 53. The first one was in 51, the next was in 52, I think this is 53 or 54. Like the first two novels, it has multiple stories in it. This is going to have two, just like the second one, Foundation and Empire, had two as well. So take a look at it. Let's get started. This is my favorite one in the series, so we'll take a look about why and some good things about it that happen. So some interesting things are happening in the novel. Basically what's going to happen is, as a reminder, this is the Foundation and the end of a galactic empire that's based on the Roman Empire has occurred. It was it controlled the entire known universe. It was incredibly powerful. It was around for hundreds of thousands of years, and about 300 years before it ends, this guy has seen that it was going to end using the power of a form of mathematically applied sociology. And he can't stop the empire from ending, but what he can do is change how long the interregnum is going to be from dozens and dozens of thousands of years to just a quick little 1,000 years. So he sets about these two foundations. One foundation, which is our key foundation, our main player, which is a foundation of science, and then the other is a foundation sort of the intellect and the brain, has psychologists, that sort of thing, set on the other edge of the empire. And that second foundation is going to be the key part of this series, of this book in the series, Second Foundation. It's named after the Second Foundation. But anyway, the idea is that he has invested these foundations with the tools needed to help them get through various crises that he foresees that are going to happen during the interregnum. And these crises included everything from an attack by the Empire, local warlords, and that sort of thing. But he did not foresee the rise of the mule, which happens at the second story in the second half of the second book. And spoiler alert, in the second half of the second book, he actually takes over the Foundation. So you're going to be opening up this book in its first story with the search for the Second Foundation. This time you're going to be following the mule who has taken it over and has brought in the first foundation. He's now going to be searching for the Second Foundation and launching a search thereof. And because he knows that the Second Foundation is going to be what's going to stop him. It's the only force in the universe that could stop him from taking back over the Empire and reestablishing an empire. So you'll follow along Mule and his people that are searching for it. And then the second story is another search by the for the Second Federation. So for the Second Federation, for the Second Foundation, rather, that's happening afterwards. After the mule search. So you're going to be following that along too. It's going to have a lot of fun things that are attached to it. You're going to find out as a part of the second story who the Second Federation is, what they're all about, and what's going on in their lives. So that's the Second Foundation. So there you are. I'll go ahead and if you enjoyed the first half of that, that's a lot of fun. And if you enjoyed the second half of it, it's even more fun. I think there's a lot of fun stories that are being written. Again, Isaac Asimov is a very talented writer, and he has big ideas. There is a reason that these 1950s novels are still being published today, still being read today. They are heavily influential on the science fiction genre as a whole. This is my favorite version of it. One of the things I like that Isaac Asimov doesn't do, and that I appreciate, is that this is actually the shortest of the three novels. A lot of writers, as they go on into a series, they will write their novels longer and longer and longer and longer and longer. And so the final of a trilogy may be like twice as big as the first book of a trilogy, or something like that. But I appreciate that Isaac Asimov has the self-control not to do that. Now the rest of his Foundation series does books 4 through 7 do have some bigger, thicker texts. But I appreciate that we kept this short and kept this on track and well plotted, and I appreciate that that Isaac Asimov did that. It was also a skill that others in the big three, Robert Highland has not grasped, because both of his books are longer than they need. His Starship Troopers and Stranger in a Strange Land, and probably The Moon of the Harsh Mistress too, are bigger than they need to be by at least 100 pages in every case, because of how much talking that's happening and how little, how much philosophy is happening and how little action is happening. Particularly Starship Troopers, which is supposed to be a novel. It's about military science fiction. It has very little military action in it. But also Stranger in a Strange Land has like very little plot too. It could probably be like half the size of its 600 novel, and it would be a much tighter novel. But this is very tight, very well paced, very well plotted, and Isaac Asimov should get some great credit. Because again, a lot of science fiction writers, that third book in a series is going to be the one that has, and this one's like 100 pages shorter than the previous one. And I read it one day. I enjoyed it. Again, he's a great writer, very well talented, very well gifted, big ideas that are on display here. And you'll enjoy it. It feels like the conclusion to a trilogy. So there you go. I'll go ahead and leave it to it. Did you like this book? What did you think of it? Did you agree or disagree with my thoughts on it? I'm happy to sort of engage you with that further. If you like this video, please feel encouraged to hit that subscribe button. There's going to be so many more of these to follow. And finally, I want to thank you for taking some time out of your day and watching my video. We all have so many things happening in our lives. So the fact you spent this time with me is very, very humbling, and I really do appreciate that. Thanks again and have a great day.